toxic wrestling fans don't understand that. They either you're diehard fan of one and you hate the other. Welcome back to another episode of Wrestle Capsule, where you're going to be getting your weekly dose of pro wrestling talk. And I'm your host, B. So welcome back to the show. But yeah, like I was saying before, everyone can have their own opinion. And yes, you can have your opinion and someone can have their opinion, their response to your opinion. I get that, but how does that warrant disrespect? How does that warrant threats? It doesn't. Every time I post an episode, I create this space for wrestling fans, not just women, but men as well. I have created a space, a platform for people to have every right to have their opinion, to have a difference of opinion, to have that open conversation, because I mean, that's what I want. If you don't agree with me, okay. If I don't agree with you, okay. But I'm willing to see your side, and hopefully you're able and willing to see my side. So like, even with the whole CM Punk thing, like that's a whole nother can of beans. But there's one conversation in particular that stands out to me, where me and this other person on YouTube, because they commented on my video about the whole CM Punk media scrum thing, and I thought that this exchange was going to be negative and problematic, but you have to remember that not everyone is going to agree with you, and there's always two sides to every story. And what it boils down to, even though what I think about CM Punk in terms of his behavior at the media scrum, I still stand by that, but I do understand that the EVPs, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, they have been problematic, even back with Cody. And I see both sides. So even though I still believe that CM Punk could have handled things a different way, behind the scenes, other people were fueling the fire. But it doesn't change the fact that at the time, the AEW World Champion should have handled things a little bit differently. And in the end, that conversation with that person ended up being super positive. And I was just like, we walked away being like, this was a great chat. Like, I'm glad we talked this out and we were agreeing on some other stuff. So I love that aspect of the internet wrestling community. What I don't is the whole toxic part where it's like, I'm right, you're wrong. I don't want to hear anything that you have to say. You're stupid. Your opinion doesn't matter. You're not a true wrestling fan. You don't understand the business. Like, all this stuff like that. I'm just like, no wonder people stop watching wrestling because of how wrestling fans be acting sometimes. Like, it's just too much. What I've realized is these toxic wrestling fans on the internet are like, basically, this is their whole thing. Basically, keep your comments to yourself unless, one, they align with my beliefs, what I think about the wrestling industry, what I think about this show or this wrestler. And if it's just as toxic as what I'm saying, then we good. If we not, there's a problem. That's what I've come to see with that. Like, and it sucks because these wrestlers, I get that they're trying to connect with their fans. I get it. Social media has become that way for wrestlers and wrestling fans to connect with one another. I get that, but it leaves room for these type of toxic people in the IWC to take advantage of that. And it gives them this sort of power to be able to hide behind their phones, hide behind their computers, and say whatever they want without even worrying about the ramifications of it. I can only imagine, like, you as a wrestler, especially mainstream wrestler, you have to have tough skin. And it just blows my mind that these type of people hide behind their smartphones and behind their computers, because something tells me that they would not be saying the stuff that they're saying in person to the wrestler's face, because they would either get punched or they would probably get power bombed. Another thing that I've come to realize is that with these toxic wrestling fans in the IWC, they have lost all they don't even acknowledge or respect the fact that there are different types of wrestling styles. Like, WWE is different from Impact, is different than AEW, is different from New Japan Wrestling, is different from, I would say, Ring of Honor, but Ring of Honor is now with AEW, and Tony done mashed them two together. So I can't even use they, which is, I'll say is different from WoW, Women of Wrestling. Like, in many other wrestling promotions that are indie, like, they all have their different wrestling styles. Some might intertwine, but there's different styles to each of them. And I'll talk specifically about WWE and AEW because those two are the most mainstream within the wrestling world. Wrestling fans who have this toxic mentality don't understand and don't respect these different styles. Like, AEW is a lot more adult, a lot more violent, a lot more edgy, very pro wrestling. WWE is a lot more family friendly. They have their edginess at times, but it's a lot more family friendly, very sports entertainment, much more mainstream, a lot more big lights, high production, has a lot more dramatic moments, more comedy, more stuff like that. And AEW has those comedy moments, but WWE takes it to a whole nother level. It's a whole big production. Like, even with that, those are two different styles of wrestling in the wrestling world, whether you want to call it pro wrestling or sports entertainment. It's all in one. And with those two, just those two different styles, that also means different wrestling fans. I feel like each one has its pros and cons, and you just, as a wrestling fan, you pick which one you can relate to, that you enjoy. That's it. And appreciate the other one for what it is and what it is doing. Like, even with my reviews on, because I review AEW product as well as WWE product. Even if I think, let me just say, for example, even if I think Dynamite, in my mind, I'm like, I watched it, those 2 hours, it didn't really do nothing for me. It wasn't my favorite episode. I'll say that on the show, and I'll tell you guys what I didn't like, but I'll also tell you what I did like. I will literally sit there and find things that I enjoyed about that Dynamite episode, because I can see the good and the bad. No promotion is perfect. Toxic wrestling fans don't understand that. They either you're diehard fan of one and you hate the other. Like, there's no in between them. There's no appreciating the art of wrestling. There's no appreciating the art of sports entertainment. Why can't there be more mature wrestling fans out there? And I know they're out there. It's just the IWC is just plagued with so much meshy, toxic people. But there are wrestling fans out there who get what I'm saying. Thank you guys. By the way, I'm just going to say this right now before I move forward. For all you guys that are subscribed to my channel, who like my stuff, who comment, whether you agree with me or disagree, you say what you got to say. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are one of the reasons why I keep going with the Wrestle Capsule. I love the interaction that I have with you guys, and I appreciate you guys so much. And I am looking forward to Wrestle Capsule growing even more, and more wrestling fans seeing that Wrestle Capsule does exist, and then they subscribe, and then they come into this whole community that I'm trying to build. Slowly but surely, we are growing, and I'm just happy that I have this place, and I'm sure that there are other wrestling YouTube channels that are out there, but I'm just worried about Wrestle Capsule. Another thing that really bugs me is these toxic wrestling fans will be out here talking about how, like, for instance, and this is just an example, there'll be some WWE wrestling fans out there talking about how they want AEW to shut down, and I'm just like, What about those AEW wrestlers who love wrestling, have been wrestling for years, and this is their love, this is their career? You want them to lose their job? Like, what is that? Like, why does AEW bother you so much that you want them to lose their job? And then on the flip side, you got some toxic AEW fans out there talking about how WWE sucks and I wish they would just shut down, and you hate this and this and this gimmick stuff. Like, they'll just talk about all this stuff and they'll do it in such a toxic, horrible way. It's the same thing. Like, why does it have to be that polar? Like, why? Why wrestlers gotta lose their job? You know what I'm saying? Why stuff gotta shut down? Why can't you, if you like AEW, like AEW. If you like WWE, like WWE. If you don't like neither of them and you're more of a New Japan Wrestling fan, so be it. If you love Impact, great. If you love WoW, so cool. Like, great. Awesome sauce. Like what you like. But don't piss and talk down to someone because they don't like what you like. Like, come on. Grow up.